Hello there, welcome to this two-part video about the life cycle of a Juul. This part will be about the development of this e-cigarette. A Juul, also known as the Electrus cigarettus, has a very interesting life cycle to say the least. It all begins down in the bottom of the sea. Hey, it's a bit dark in here. Let's turn on this very cheap flashlight that I bought on eBay for $0.02. Yeah. That was so cringy, outdated, and cringy. Let's try this again. Yeah, you can see coral. A piece of the coral broke off. This is an important step in the development of the Juul. Watch this fish person. He will take the piece of coral. The fish person takes the coral to this factory. Once inside, the fish proceeds to put it on the conveyor belt. First, the conveyor belt takes the piece to the furnace to cook the coral and kill any bacteria that might be on it. Then it goes to the stock photo of a man on a bicycle. This cuts the coral into a few pieces. Finally, the coral goes to the unhealthy fish tank, where the coral receives a wide range of drugs from the fish to give it the addictive taste it needs. You will find out why soon. After that, the coral comes out of the fish tank. This conveyor belt has transformed the coral piece into a delicious meal known as coral nuggets. A couple of coral nuggets are usually sold for $5, but the certain crab that is crusty said I want money, or else, and sold coral nuggets for $10. After the coral nuggets are sold to a customer, they eat the nuggets. The next day, the coral nuggets bypass the digestive system, and the customer shots it out. What happens next? Well, before the customer can clean it up, the piles of poop drop between 5 and 10 pieces of candy corn. But this isn't just any old candy corn you find in Halloween buckets. No, this candy corn is atomically unstable, and has the ability to move 540 miles per second. This is what these candy corn pieces do to escape the customer's house. It is possible that a fire may start because they are so fast. But how can there be a fire underwater? Well, explain this picture. This very realistic picture shows a fire starting underwater. You can't argue with the facts. Anyway, the mission of the candy corn is to rob a bank. Remember, all of these steps are necessary to form the Juul we all know and are forced to love. The candy corn creates an army, then breaks down the vault door of a bank to steal the money. No one can do anything about it because they are so fast. After that, the candy corn separates and splits the money evenly between them, and go their separate ways. Then each one quickly constructs a nice house out of coral. This is only a temporary house, because they only need it for what will happen next. In the house, the candy corn picks their favorite dollar bill out of the pile they stole, then proceeds to go to the bedroom. The candy corn's mission is finished. It has already done what it needed to do. It knows this, and immediately vanishes off the face of the earth. The dollar bill becomes sad for about 3 seconds, and then transforms into the main component of the Juul. This is the piece that the so-called pod goes into. After this step, the Juul gets filled with rage from the death of the candy corn. This is known as the Juul wrecks everything in the coral house until the house itself is completely destroyed. After that, in order to calm down from the rage and release the stress, the Juul relaxes and starts to float up to the surface of the ocean. When the Juul makes it to the surface, for some reason, it keeps floating, even though there's no more water. It just keeps floating, and floating, like no one has ever seen before. It keeps floating until it hits a cloud. When it comes in contact with a cloud, sucks. This is how the Juul gets its smoke. After a cloud, it falls back down to earth. As it falls down, it steers itself to a piece of land. Most of the time it is successful. When the Juul falls on the land, it finds a line of other Juuls without pods. Just like it, the Juul goes to the back of the line, and then it waits. This can take up to 4 hours. Whenever the Juul gets near the front of the line, it realizes what it has stumbled into. This is what the candy corn from earlier warned the Juul about right before their mating session. The land that the Juul landed on is Cab Island. In fact, this is where all of the premature Juuls land, even though they thought they were in control of where they land. The reason that the Juuls are waiting in line is to meet the notorious REUPLOAD. Although this is the common spelling of the name, it is properly spelled like this. REUPLOAD is the ruler of Cab Island, and is a reptile of an unknown, never-before-seen species. He comes from an alternate universe ran by the reptilian government, which he was a part of. He came to Earth because the president of Reptilian America, Donald Stump, told REUPLOAD that his destiny was to be in charge of the line of Juuls that I'm currently talking about. Now it takes each and every Juul from the line, and gives it a pod, but only if it is worthy. To become worthy and receive a pod, the Juul must recite the nicotine pledge. Look, the Juul we was keeping track of is next in line. Now it must recite the nicotine pledge. I swear, on the stack of money that I came from, that I will always be worth a pack of cigarettes, and that I will continue the reign of the Juul empire, even if it costs risking my own life to continue the process of bringing new world order and the idea of Juulism. REUPLOAD is looking down at the Juul, and is accepting it as worthy. The reptile grants the Juul a well-deserved pod. It connects gracefully with the Juul. Finally, the Juul is complete. Now, all it needs is some tastefulness in its life. It needs flavor to really get people addicted to it instead of regular cigarettes. REUPLOAD says to the Juul to start floating in the ocean, and let the currents decide its flavor. So, it lays down in the ocean, and floats away. Now it's up to the movement of the ocean to choose a suitable flavor. Oh, good timing. Here comes the well von Rochgeschmack. This wave goes to every complete Juul to give them their flavor. Trippy 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 trippy. It looks like the Juul's chosen flavor was mango, the most popular flavor. Good choice, because now there is a higher chance of getting picked by an unsuspecting. After all, the Juul's only goal in its life is to get someone addicted to it instead of regular cigarettes without them realizing, and then give that addict the worst and most depressingly horrible life that they have ever lived. And this Juul, along with all of the others, are set on course for multiple countries.